Okay, so I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite pieces of gear in my studio, and that would be the Softube Console 1. I absolutely love this thing. I've been using it now for well over a year, and it has made my life so much easier when it comes to mixing. So I just want to give you a basic overview of what it does. So uh, the, f- the first thing that you need to do with this is install it as a plugin in your DAW. So as you can see, I'm in Cubase and I installed the Console 1 plugin. If you click on it like that, it looks like this. So let's go through what it can do. So the first button here, this is just the display. So you click it and then you have the visuals on screen. And there's different modes with that display. If you hit the mode button, it just gives you different ways to see it. You have a smaller mixer there, and you have a very small mixer, so if you always want to see what channel you're on, that's really, really handy. But for me, I always like to leave it on that display. So let's just go through some of the features and why I think this is brilliant. Now, it comes shipped with the MXL 4000 plugin, and that is really all you need for an incredible sounding mix. I mean, it sounds fantastic. It's got the complete channel strip, the dynamic section, the equalizer, the compressor, and it sounds great. But of course, you can buy more plugins and channel strips for it. So on this end, we have the input gain. Now this comes in handy. I hardly ever use it, but let's say you've had your track full of automation, and you just need 1 or 2 dBs of gain or reduction, then this just lowers the entire track without affecting your automation. Like I said, I hardly ever do that because, as you're mixing, you kind of feel the levels. And as I'm mixing, I don't have a physical fader, so I'm always just using this. And this controls the DAW volume, and I do all my automation through that, and it works fantastic. I guess it would have been nice if it had a long fader, but this works just as well. So let's just pull up a track. So here we have the just the kick drum. So it's soloed, and here are the controls. So you have a gate. You have this function that's really nice if you want to make a sound like really punchy, or if you want to soften it up more. So that's built into the actual plugin. I think that's brilliant. You have your full EQ, so you can turn it on and off. So if you want to work with EQ now, you can just click it. And you have your high cut and low cut. And it's absolutely fantastic to work with because, I originally was looking at other control surfaces, something like Fader 1, or there's the mkii, and those are great in their own right, of course, but there's always an extra step involved. Like you have to click a button to load the plugin, you have to, load a plugin for EQ, one for compression. This has everything at your fingertips. You don't have to think about it. Like I hardly touch my computer. I feel like I do most of my work through this. So let's just keep going here. So you have your equalizer, and then you have your compressor. And you got instant gratification. You just grab a knob, you turn it, and you have everything right there. Now on this side, this is a part that I really like about it. It's got the drive section. So this is basically mimicking the harmonic saturation that you get by using an analog console. So by leaving it at 5, that it's kind of mimicking a channel strip on an MXL 4000. So I leave that on every single channel, and I find that it just glues the mix so much nicer. So it's got that. The next button down is the character button. So I'll just show you what that does. So basically, if you go right, it's going to bring a sound really forward and mid-rangey sounding. And if you go the opposite way, left, it's going to soften up the sound and bring it further back in the mix. So I'll just quickly play this kick, and you can kind of hear it. See, like, very aggressive and front forward and back. And then obviously the other one is you got your pan instantly there. So there you go. You got absolutely everything at your fingertips. It's just nice because you don't have to think about it. And it's got additional functions with the shift key. So let's just say you want to access your effect sends. So let's solo this track. This is the piano track. And playing. And by holding the shift, and either of these faders is controlling send 1, 2, and 3. There you go. So that's really nice to have. Now, this is my only single gripe with this. It only lets you control sends 1 to 3. Now, I wish it could at least do 6. Hopefully in a future software update they can incorporate maybe another function button like to access 3 more sends, because I find that a little bit limiting. So right now, as a kind of a workaround for that, I'm using the TouchDaw app on my phone, and I have that set to control 8 auxiliary sends. And I find between the console one and that app, I'm pretty happy accessing everything at my fingertips. So, like I said, this is just, it's a wonderful piece of hardware. You know, you have 20 channels that you can instantly access from the top. And obviously to access the next 20, if you have like a really big session, you just use your pages. And you know, like I said, for most of the year that I've had it, I've just used the stock SSL 4000 plugin. But it does have other plugins that you can buy for it, and that's really nice. So let's say for a snare, let's just say we pull up the snare, and you want to load in a different compressor. So you just hit Shift, Compressor, and then you have access to the ones that you have purchased. So in this case, I don't have much. I just have the Summit and the FET compressor. So I'll click, let's say, this FET compressor, and there you go. You have oh, sorry, I was on the wrong track there, but I apologize about that. Let's just load that compressor again. The FET compressor. And you have a very aggressive sounding compressor. And that is just really handy. Like if you want to expand your sound palette, you can use any of the Softube Console 1 plugins, or you can actually control the universal audio plugins as well. And that, you know, that just opens things up to a lot of experimentation, because you have access to pretty much everything you could ever need. But like I said, you don't need more plugins. I just purchased the FET compressor because I really like the faster attacks for drums. So when I build my template, I usually have that set on the drums. And for vocals, I do like the Summit EQs and compression. I find for slower tracks, that works really well on the vocal. And like I said, you can just go to compressor, load it, and here's the Summit. So, you know, if you really want to cover the biggest range, I would recommend those 2 plugins that I got. The Summit EQ is wonderful on vocals and pretty much anything. I love the high end, how that sounds, and compared to the SSL 4000, the stock plugin. And the FET compressor is just a nice complement to the already built-in compressor, the SSL 4000 compressor that it comes with. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's really easy to get a mix going. I mean, I can just show you something very quickly. You know, solo the kick. So as you can see, I mean, that literally took me a couple minutes, and that's already sounding pretty decent. That's how quick you can work with the Softube Console One. So if you're on the fence about buying this, I say go for it, because it is just wonderful to work with. Now they did come out with the fader one, which is 10 faders, and it works, you know, with the same plugin. I've been looking into that, and I was on the fence about that, but there's a few things I don't like about the fader one. Primarily is not having a channel strip. So I would want something that complements this. So in the future, I probably will get like some type of Huey controller, just so I can access like my auxiliary sends easier than I am now. And obviously it's nice to have the tactile faders, the 100 millimeter faders. It's really nice to have, because you can, you know, really speed up your workflow. But for now, like I said, I'm really happy with just this. It's wonderful. If you have any questions or anything, leave me a comment. I'm going to be doing more reviews and step-by-step tutorials. I've done a few tutorials now that you can check on my channel, but I actually go step by step and show you exactly what I'm doing to get a mix that is radio ready. And like I said, I'm using the Softube Console One, my phone app for FXNs, and my main DAW of choice is the Cubase 10.5 right now. So that's it. Hope you had a great day, and leave me a comment. Thanks.